Cool. All right. Hey, Caius. So, hey, man, we're gonna record a video today, and what we're gonna be working on is getting Unity set up with Needle Engine, and we're gonna explore that for the purposes of creating web-based XR projects. But before we do that, let's spend a couple of minutes and we'll introduce you to my audience of three people. Right. So, Caius Ruscella, you're on the stage. How did we meet, Caius?
When I was 15 years old, my dad gave you a call and said, "Hey, I've got somebody that's interested in doing some web development. Would you be willing to take on this 15-year-old and teach him a couple things?" And you said yes. Still to this day, can't figure out why, but you said yes, and you took me under your wing. And over the last 9 years, you've continued to mentor me through many different languages, projects, and all sorts of things.
Well, it's for me, Caius, it's about trying to give back. Like when I was your age and I had all of this curiosity about tech, I didn't really have anybody to turn to. I had some books that I managed to get, and my mom very kindly procured a computer for me. And I spent many days just screaming and yelling at my computer and not having any support. So to the extent that I've been able to help you not have as frustrating a journey as I have, it is what it is. Like it's learning to code is not for the weak of heart. You
No,
have to have a certain tenacity, for problem solving, a certain desire to be a problem solver, and a certain tenacity for being stuck for long periods of time. But yeah, so you told me how we met, but tell me a little bit more about what's going on in your life now, because it's actually really exciting. I haven't said this to you, but I am a little bit jealous of the path you're on now, because it's a lot more like the one that I wish I would have had the wherewithal to choose for myself when I was your age. So
that's fair.
yeah.
So I'm a master's student at FIA, Florida Interactive Entertainment Academy, studying tech design for video games. So I get to do a lot of technical and design for video game development, focusing on Unity, Unreal. It's a year-long program, and then from there, you get 4 months of an internship, or you spend 4 months in what they call venture, where you start your own company using the game you worked on in Capstone, and then you get your degree from there. And so, within 16 months, I should hopefully be have my degree in game development. I come from Unity. And so I absolutely love working in Unity and being able to use it in a medium for interactive entertainment is just,
Yeah.
it's always something that I've enjoyed.
Yeah, and you were telling me earlier a little bit about this. So it's like one of the things you have to do every week is pitch a brand new game concept, right?
Yeah. So as a producer on my track, we have 1 week to come up with and produce a design pitch for our professor, where he'll then tell us what we did wrong and what we did right. We the when you're creating your pitch, only about 20% of it is the idea, right? You've got 20% that goes towards what the visuals should be, 20% that goes towards the mechanics, 20% goes towards camera controls and those kinds of, like, so only the design aspect, you only get about 10 to 20% of creativity. The others 80% is figuring out all of the logistics and bits and pieces that actually go into that greater picture. And then half the time, it's not even the final basis. It's just a razor. If something starts coming in, here's an extra idea to build on top. Well, does that fit in any of that in any capacity? No, it's gone, right? It's just a foundation. And so you can't get married to your pitches, because they will never end up being what the final product is.
Well, this razor analogy, you used it earlier, and I'm not sure I've ever heard that before, but it's essentially you are building a certain scope, right?
Yeah.
And you only have this week to put it together, which is an awesome exercise in working within constraints, and that's incredibly valuable. So I'm glad that is the practice that you're getting.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the real world, you'll have a little bit longer to think and plan and
Yeah.
strategize. But a week's good. You're
Usually
good.
people to
You're
bounce
the
off of.
kids. You're not a kid. My goodness. Well, it's very, very exciting, and like I said, I'm a little bit jealous. I think I don't know what the actual stats are on this, but I'm sure that quite a few people who get into software engineering do it as a result of being exposed to gaming and dreaming of making their own games. And you and I have talked about that too.
Yeah.
At some point it would be nice to collaborate on. We've even got some ideas in the works, but for now we're focused on school, and we're focused on the projects that pay the bills. And so the reason that we're together today, like I said, is we have a project in common here soon, for your father's company, Ruscella Immersive. And in part, that project is going to be using this thing called Needle Engine that I've been advocating for. And we're going to use Needle Engine with Unity as our front end for designing the scenes and setting up the game objects and rigging things and animating things. But then, because it's Needle Engine, we're going to use TypeScript to actually program our game objects. And we're going to try to take advantage of what Needle Engine has built in, because you're not a TypeScript developer. And
Correct.
technically, I'm not a TypeScript developer. I've done a lot of JavaScript development over the years, but no TypeScript. So this is a learning journey for me too. But step number one is actually just getting our dev environment set up. And so you were telling me, that you've already taken a few of those steps. And so, you want to tell me a little bit about what you've already discovered?
Yeah, so I went to Needle's documentation and I found that they had a download page, and they have choose your workflow, where you can do it for Blender, Simple Web Component, or Unity, which is what we need in this context. So I went ahead and I downloaded it, and it gave me just a simple Unity package and took me to an instruction page that said, open a project, whether it's new or existing, drag and drop that package in and let it do its thing. And that's sort of where I've left it. I downloaded the package into a new Unity project, and I'm in version 2022.3.22 F1, one of the long-term support versions that Unity has. And yeah, that's sort of where I left off.
Okay, Kai. So it sounds like you've got all the parts and pieces that you need. So why don't you go ahead and share your screen with me, and we'll just start to talk through the rest of the setup process.
All right.
Right on. Okay, so you were saying, yeah, you've already downloaded and installed the Needle package. Why don't you go ahead and pull up Needle's website really quick? Yep. So if you go to the home page, actually just in the address bar, let's just go to needle.tools. That's the easiest way to pull it up. Yeah. So just to give the watchers at home, the opportunity to see what's really possible here, right? So if you scroll this home page, this whole thing is actually made with Needle Engine. And if you're watching this and you know anything about Unity or 3JS, which is actually the rendering engine that's used to create this in the browser, what's going on here is actually the camera is on a sort of track, right? And scrolling the screen is basically advancing an animation that was created in Unity to push that camera along the track, right? So then what it does is it gets to a certain point and it flips the scenes. Each one of these is a separate scene. I think that's the way it's organized. I was talking with one of the founders of the company about how this was put together. And so actually one of the things I pitched to your dad, one idea that they might do is this sort of thing where there's a model of a thing, call it a building, and there's a camera on a track, and that camera wanders its way through the building as you scroll the screen, right? So that is one particular way that one might use Needle to create, an experience. And so what we're going to do now is just talk through getting a project set up in Unity. And go ahead and flip back to Unity for me if you would. So you've got Unity installed, and their documentation website for Needle is the best resource for learning Needle. It's pretty well organized. And in the setup guide, there's a space where you can download and install the Needle engine package. And the very first thing that that does is up at the top. Oh, actually, this is helpful because I know these things drive you crazy the way they drive me crazy. You see this error down here? Scriptable singleton already exists.
Yeah.
That is going to stay with you for the duration of this project. That never goes away. It's some weird thing between Needle and Unity. It has zero impact on anything, but it's always going to show up. So don't let that be a red flag for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, maybe I missed something in setup.
Yeah, no, you didn't miss anything. So if you click on the Needle engine menu at the top, one of the options is the welcome window. So go ahead and click on that for me. So in the welcome window, we have these four options, right? And one of them is create new scene with a template. And that's where we're going to start today. So if you click on create new scene with template, it's going to open up and let you name a new scene. Yep. Right on. And you can see it's already built a scene here for you. Now this is the only template that ships with Needle, as far as I understand it. And the experience here is pretty straightforward, but it teaches you a handful of basics about what Needle Engine does. Well, when it runs, and we'll do that real quick here, so that you can see it. What it is it's basically a multiplayer drag and drop experience where you can build your own little desert scene from the things around the edges. Now, did the project validation window open automatically? Oh, that was a button. You hit that over on the Explorer,
I
right?
think so. I pressed play and then this
Oh,
popped.
okay, great. Oh, okay, cool. Well, that's one way to go about it. Close this window real quick, though. Let's just talk real quick about the game objects that are part of the test scene, right?
Mhm.
So the one that's at the top is arguably the most critical one. The Needle Engine game object has this Needle Engine behavior attached to it. And this is sort of the glue that holds the project together. All of the integrations between Unity and all of the JavaScript stuff that's going to be running in the background has its hooks here. And there are other optional behaviors that you will attach to this object to sort of keep it all together. But this is basically the engine. This is the engine object. And then all of
Okay.
the other things are sort of coordinating their behavior through this ultimately singleton. And you can see there at the top, it says we detected some issues in your project. And so if you hit that open validation window button, it's going to pop up this same thing, right? And the very first issue that they've identified is that you need to log in. So if you go ahead and hit that button, what this should do is pop up your web browser, but it says operable. Wait, what's down there in the, it says npx is not recognized as an internal or external command. So we actually have a bigger problem yet, which is that you don't seem to have npx or npm installed on your machine yet, right? So, and I don't know, I've never set this up on Windows, so we're going to have to sort of hack through this jungle together. So if you pull back up your web browser, we'll see if we can resolve this problem first. And let's go ahead and into the get started and go to the documentation site. Documentation down there at the bottom. Yep. And we're going to go to the getting started Needle Engine for Unity guide, which is over in the left-hand menu. And it says drop the downloaded package.
This is
in.
what I've done.
What you did, right? Yep, yep, yep. Yep, yep, yep. Keep going. That's the end of it. Okay, so if it hasn't, let's go back to Unity. And You see where the third option says download and run Node.js installer?
Here we go. So it gave me a next.
Yeah. So
Because we all.
while you're working your way through this, I'll narrate a bit and I'll explain what's going on here, right? So Needle Engine, like we were talking about, it's a web-based thing. And as a web-based thing, it uses web technologies, one of which is JavaScript. And Node is a JavaScript engine that can be used to run JavaScript-based software on your computer or in the cloud as a server. And within Node, you have a couple of different tools. One of them is called NPX. Another one is called NPM. Go ahead and hit enter here to continue. And go ahead and hit enter again. And so the reason why we got an error when we clicked login is because the login process in Needle Engine actually starts a little JavaScript server before it sends you to the website, and it couldn't do that because Node hadn't been installed yet. So really, this is a slight defect in Needle Engine's validation process because that item should have been first, right?
Okay.
Install Node should have been first, and we probably would have chosen that one instead. So we're gonna have to wait for just a second here, and I don't know what chocolatey is, but again, I'm coming at this a little naive because I'm not a Windows developer anymore. I'm a Mac guy, and a lot of this stuff like Node lives in the default installation for Mac.
Yeah.
So I never had to think about this step. Although I did have my own issues with Node versioning, which is a whole other topic for today.
I used to keep everything installed. Like you said npm and it showed that it wasn't installed and it confused me, but I forgot I had that computer restart over the summer.
Oh, yeah, maybe. And I mean, I don't know when you installed this copy of Unity. I've always been under the impression that npm plays a role in Unity's package management as well. But it wasn't npm that it couldn't find; it was npx that it couldn't find.
Mm.
And I don't know that Unity has an npx dependency. So, and sitting here right now, I don't remember exactly what the difference is between the two. Um, I could extrapolate and say that npx is probably an execution environment, thus X, but that's npm is the package manager, so maybe npx is a runtime.
Oh, okay.
But we'll give it the opportunity here to finish installing.
Gotta love software.
So many changes.
So many. Seeing
You're breaking up a little bit.
oh, might be the installation.
Yeah, I hate seeing errors during a build process that I didn't write. Like
Yeah.
what's really going on here?
I'm seeing like a task was canceled. I'm seeing red up here. I don't know if this is things to worry about or not.
Yeah, what's up at the top with the red?
Could not update channel.
Yeah, I don't think we'll worry about that for right now. Let's flip back to Unity for a second and click that login button again and see if we're any further along. Nope. So let's flip back to the PowerShell. It does seem to have stopped. And it is running as an administrator, which would be the only other thing that I would think we would need to adjust.
Yeah.
Well, let's close this window at risk of our own peril here. And let's first treat it like maybe it did succeed. You see how it says please restart your machine to finish the installation?
Yeah.
So I'm going to pause here and I'll wait for you to come back. Go ahead and do that.
Sounds good. I do have something new.
Okay.
Now,
After restart, you have something new?
I do have something new. I've got these.
Ooh. Can we close either of them?
Oh, no. It said it. I got you.
Yikes.
Not quite sure how to feel about that one. Before
All right. So we're back from a restart. Let's go ahead and allow that to happen. That's a good sign.
There's a good
And
sign.
let's go to
There.
Needle. Let's go to click on Needle Engine Game Object and click the login button, and we'll see if we can actually get a login. So I'm seeing down there, NPX is now
Oh,
running, servers running. This is good stuff. So here's where I would suggest we create an account using your Ruscella immersive email, since that's what you're going to be doing the project under. Is it not a Google?
oh yeah, it is. I can
Yeah.
do that. Let's do Ruscella immersive.
Yeah, let's just
We'll
skip
do that later.
There you go. So now if you flip back to Unity, here we are. We got Needle Engine, no commercial license. Go ahead and yes, update. This is good. This is helping us illustrate how Needle will self-update itself
Okay.
at your will. You know, it won't do it without your permission. And
Nice.
incidentally, something I learned recently is that the version of Needle is actually tied um, to the Unity package that you've installed.
Oh, nice.
So if you ever need to control that, because they're constantly updating it, right? Like you can go and get the absolute latest head anytime you want. You just get the version
Okay.
number and you change the dependency in the Unity dependencies to that version number, and you'll be able to use whatever. Because I've reported bugs to them and they've fixed them on the same day, and I've been able to get the update through that immediate release channel. You have to
Nice.
set it up that way. So right, so now it has finished installing and configuring Needle. Couple of things to take note of here, right? The first thing to note is that you are on a non-commercial license for now, and you can't have a team, and you basically get one cloud project, meaning that you can have as many Needle projects as you want, but when you build them to the cloud, they're all going to go to the same project, and one will overwrite the other one, right?
Okay.
When you go to the commercial license, you can have as many projects as you want, and they all have their own unique namespace and so on and so forth. The next thing to note is the web project location. This is where Needle is going to put the files inside your Unity project. So I like to give it a name that's coherent, right? And matches the scene. Also worth noting here that most Needle projects are just one Unity scene. And you'll use other methods of managing your game objects so that you can sort of control what is being loaded when in the runtime, but it will all mostly be one scene in Unity. So you've set this up well. The next thing you'll see here is what project template you want to use. This is not the same thing as the template that we started with that basically had all the game objects, right, and the models and everything. This is actually talking about what web project starting point you would want to take. Okay.
Okay.
And the options here are several different front end frameworks that are very popular web front end frameworks. You've got Svelte, Svelte Kit, React 3 Fiber, React, Next.js, and you can even have your own. One of my favorite web front end toolkits is Vue, VUE. That's not listed here. And so if I wanted to build to a Vue template, I would create my own custom web project template. That's outside of the scope for today. But we're just going to use the default for now, which uses the very, very popular Vite build script system. And so when you click generate project now, what's going to happen is it's going to take that direction and it's going to create this project inside your Unity project. And then we're going to take a look at that just to get a sense of what's really going on in the back end here. And then we ought to be able to finish the other project validation steps, and then we ought to be able to build it so you can actually see and play with what we've made so far.
Okay.
What code editor do you have on your system right now?
Visual Studio.
So if you hit open code editor underneath that, where we were up at the top, sorry, underneath where you have the web project location, click on that. Let's see what option it gives you.
Says does not support nested folder.
It actually might not have generated it yet because I'm seeing an error in the console that we need to accept the terms of use.
Oh,
I thought we already did that. But if you go to open validation window,
this just popped up.
yep, this is the one you need to do. Go ahead and just click the things and click I agree. Just for the sake of getting it all done at once, go ahead and click the open validation window button and we'll do these steps now. So do the fixed light map encoding. And let's go ahead and do that too. Hopefully that doesn't require another system restart, but a couple of things on this. One of the really great things about Needle Engine is that you can use Unity light maps. So you can have really nice baked dynamic lighting. And it will optimize those and export them for the web. It does the same. Just use the second option just to make sure it's available everywhere. Yep. Let's do, I don't know that we need the Java wrapper.
Okay.
Yep. This thing is what they use to optimize the export of models and turning them into GLB files so that they can load efficiently for the web. Okay, so let's open up a file explorer real quick. Oh, and in fact, there's a button there in the Needle Engine properties window that says open. Cool. So this folder is the one that we picked. This is inside your Unity project. And this is a TypeScript project. You can see the vite.config.js file. That's your build configuration. It has an index HTML file. It has a favicon, right? The favorite icon to show up in the browser window. If you go into the source folder, you'll see it has just a couple of example scripts in here. It has a styles folder, what you would expect for a web app, right? And all the scripts in here would be TypeScript. But this is where you would put your files, your custom game object scripts will live in here if and when you need to write them. And if you go up one folder to the test scene folder, the node modules folder is where all of your JavaScript dependencies live, right? So these are not files that Unity is dependent on, but these are files that Needle Engine is dependent on in order to make your project functional, okay? And we can talk later, probably in a later project, about how to add new dependencies, because that is something that you can do through Unity you create new npm definition files and then import them into your project. And so
Okay.
you're basically controlling the web-based build system from within Unity. But let's
Okay.
switch back to Unity for a second. And so if you click on Needle Engine, so right now we still don't have a button for start Needle Engine. So this is going to be the last thing for us to try to figure out here. Let's try hitting the play button now that we've done all this setup and see what happens. Okay, it says the role in your team does not allow you to use Unity with Needle Engine. Well, that would be a brand new sort of dysfunction. So click the settings button on the Needle Engine properties panel. Click on the My Needle Account button. All right, let's go ahead and do this. I think you got a little spelling error there.
Thank you.
Okay, see if it'll let you submit it this time. No. Friend. Oh my gosh. One must answer all of the questions.
Yeah, right. There we go. Okay.
Now, let's go back now to Unity and
looks like we've got.
There we go. Okay, now click that button. Okay, so now what this is doing is it just popped up a terminal window. You see that? Yep. So this gives you, this is the server that it's a JavaScript server running in Node that is your local development server. And you can see it's assigned a port 3000 to it. I think if you hold control down, you might be able to click on the second one. No? Okay. Let's grab the second one and paste it into your web browser. Click on Help Me Understand.
And there we go.
There you go.
Never had that happen on Opera.
Well, and all this is what it's doing is it's saying that there's no secure server certificate in place, even though we're using HTTPS. So that was it. It was trying to protect it. So here it is, right? So you could drag and drop elements, and that is like a trash can, right? So if you drag the element over there, it'll dispose of it, right? And the other things you can see here are you can generate a QR code that's shareable that other people could use to connect to this server if it was in the cloud. This won't work unless somebody else is on your local network.
Okay.
And it might still not work on most local networks, right? Especially a school-based one. But then you've also got an open on Quest option, which uses the Quest URL loader, right? To basically push that URL into the web browser in the Quest headset. Again, not super great for local development, but it'll work for the cloud, right? So this is this experience. Now flip back to Unity real quick. Let me show you a couple other things here. So if you scroll down go back to Needle Engine. If you scroll down on the right here, one of these things says install editor sync package. Go ahead and do that. So what this does, Caius, is it allows the Unity editor to talk to the live runtime. And then if
Oh,
you drag an object on the stage in the editor, it will move in the runtime. Now, in the runtime, I think you already sort of deleted all of the objects, so we might need to go back in and do this. Go back to your web browser, and up at the top, um, actually down there at the bottom, you see where it says "Leave Room." Click on that, and then click Join Room again. Let's see. Oh, it doesn't put a room number up on the screen. Well, go into the Unity scene and like go back into Unity and like move one of the benches, right? Like yeah, move something that's still in the live version. Like the bench over on the left that has the 3 succulents sitting on it, like you should be able to click on that and move it. And then go back into the browser. No, I think it's because we changed too much already. But that's what that's for. Um, you might need to let's do this. Let's just force our way through it so that we can see it working. Scroll up to the top of the inspector in Needle Engine and do let's try refresh local website and see if that gives us a fresh starting point here. So if you flip back to the browser again and refresh.
it's over there.
Okay, it's over there, right? Now, if you move it now, oh, it's still not doing it. Oh, that's very strange. What happens if you hit refresh on this? Okay, well, we'll mark that one down and see if we can figure it out later. Failure number 1. But directly below this, Caius, where it says publish to Needle Cloud, this is where this whole thing gets very interesting, right? So if you hit that button, this is going to do the same sort of thing. It's going to do a build of your project. But then when it's done, it's going to give you a URL. And that URL you could share with other people, right?
Oh,
And it does have a multiplayer server connected to it. So in effect, you can build and test multiplayer experiences really, really rapidly with this. And this is one of the things that I really like about it.
that's cool.
So you see it's building all these GLB files.
Yeah. Oh,
There it is. There's your needle project. Okay.
that's cool.
And again, literally all you have to do is give that URL to anybody else in the world and they can get in there with you. And you see how it has a room. Oh, this is an Opera thing. This was confusing me before. Click back up in the address bar. You see how there's a room parameter in the URL?
Yeah.
That number is what differentiates the room or the lobby, right? So
Okay.
everybody has to have that number in their URL. And if you change it, you'll get a completely new data space, right? So like if you mess this up, you move things around, you lose what you need, all you need to do is change that number and you'll get a completely fresh copy of the runtime.
That's cool.
Okay. So go back to Unity. Let's sort of finish our basic tour here. So one of the things I said earlier is that Needle uses TypeScript, not C#. And where you can see that pretty much immediately is if you click on, click on plant 1, the game object plant 1 in the content hierarchy. Okay, you see how these game objects, these behaviors, deletable, sync, transform, each one of them has a little link underneath it that's
Yeah.
referencing a TypeScript class. So if you click on that, hopefully we can actually get it to open in Visual Studio. Welcome to TypeScript. Okay. So this particular class, this behavior sync transform, is built into Unity Engine. You don't need to modify this. You just need to add it and expect it to work, right? But there
Okay.
are some things that might look familiar to somebody who's done Unity development before. Scroll back up to the top for me. Notice how, scroll down a little bit further, sorry. Notice how we're creating a class that extends behavior, right? That is straight out of Unity. They've basically created classes that map onto the nomenclature that's part of Unity so that it feels familiar. So
Okay.
the behavior, if you, I don't know how you, I don't use Visual Studio very often, but I think if you control click on behavior, it should jump into the definition for behavior,
Yes.
right? And you can see how this implements a component interface and an event target interface. And if you scroll down through here, you'll see some of the things you have access to. Like there's a function called context that gives you the needle engine runtime. So all the
Okay.
different properties that are on the actual executing container are part of that context class. You have methods like awake, right? You have methods like update, and those all work the same way that they work when you're in a C# context, right? So you
Okay.
do have sort of a mental starting point, and there's an entire guide in the Needle Engine documentation that talks about the differences between writing TypeScript and writing C# script, and it takes you
Okay.
right down through exactly what those differences are. My hope is that you won't have to dive so far into this in the beginning, and you'll be able to use something called, I think they're called everywhere actions. And so to talk about this real quick, let's flip over to the Needle Engine website. And if you go to, let's see. Oh, you see where it says TypeScript in Unity? No, wrong one. Sorry. What was I just talking about? Um, Give me just a second here. How to write, do you see down there at the bottom where it says next steps? Beginner scripting, TypeScript essentials. So this is a really good place, right? Key differences between C#, JavaScript, or TypeScript. This will take you through those differences. And it's very helpful because there are some really key differences between the two languages. One of the big ones is how JavaScript handles references to objects in when it passes them as parameters versus the way
Okay.
C# does it. Because I think in C# you actually get an instance of the thing that was passed, and in JavaScript there's no actual relationship between those two things. So you do need to sort of explore this a little bit. But if you
Okay.
go click on the over on the left hand menu, um, scroll up some, click on where it says everywhere actions. So everywhere actions are behaviors, but they do very specific things like change material on click. So if you want an object on your scene and you want it to look different every time it's clicked, you just add the change material on click behavior and you update the
Oh,
properties on that, and then it does something, right? Play,
that's cool.
play animation on click. Look at means that the camera will zoom in on the thing that was clicked, right? Play audio on click, hide on start, set active on click. All of these things should get you pretty far down the path of creating things that are interactive without having to do a whole lot of custom scripting. You just need to know how to lay out what it is that you want to see,
Okay.
and then basically add these components. And you do that the same way you add any Unity component, right? You just search it
That's
for
super
it and then
cool.
you add it. So last little bit of whirlwind tour here. If you go back to Unity, so directly underneath the game object called Needle Engine is one called networking, right? So this has the synced room behavior attached to it. This component is what establishes the network between this and the servers that Needle Cloud offers for free. And
Okay.
so this sets up things like, do you join a random room or do you join a specific room? Does it auto rejoin when it loses connection? What's the URL parameter? Is it room or is it something else, right? Like, what do you want to do?
Okay.
And then it allows you to decide whether there's a button to control joining it or not, right? And so these are all relevant things for when you actually have a production application, right? Like if what you're building, for example, is going to be a virtual tour of a CAD drawing of a building. You might not actually want everybody who joins it to join a separate room. You might want them to all be joining the same room so that they have a collaborative experience every time.
Yeah.
So that would be a difference in how you configure this, right? All of the other objects like plant one, when we were looking at it before, if you click on plant one again, plant one has this synced transform component. Synced transform won't work unless you have a network game object also in your scene, right?
Okay.
They detect each other at runtime and they set up this communication, right? Drag controls is the component that allows you then to grab the object and drag it around the stage. And you'll see it has a couple of different settings in it, like snap to surfaces is the default way it works. And that's pretty cool because if you go back and you play with it again, you'll see that when you drag that object around, it basically uses ray casting to find something to stick to. So like if you drag it next to another object, you'll see that it sort of, it's not a collider that's doing that. It's actually just the drag controls that's looking for the nearest thing and treating it like it's sticky, right? So like drag an object along the left edge of the white cube, right? You can see how it sticks to it. And that's the
That
snap surface functionality. And there's a couple of other different ways that it works. And snapping to surface doesn't work as well in XR, which is why there's a different picker for XR drag mode, right? Again, these are just things that are built in. There's this whole mechanic. If you scroll down to the bench small game object that's expanded and click on plant 3, and then also expand plant 3, you'll see how there's two objects here. There's a bit of a misnomer. They should probably be both called plant 3. But plant 3, the parent, is sort of like a placeholder. And if you click on it, you'll notice it does have drag controls, but it also has this component called duplicatable, right? And what duplicatable does is when you drag plant 3, it looks at its child object, which is plant 2, and it goes, okay, what the user is trying to do here is create a copy of me to drag me onto the stage, right? And so that's this sort of quasi-builder interface that they've created here using
that's cool.
that drag and drop. So I encourage you to explore the rest of it. It's all very transparent. As I showed you, you could click on that little link that's underneath any of the names and jump right into the code and be able to read it. It's all at your fingertips, so you can go as deep as you want to.
Awesome.
But most important, last thing, if you click on Needle Engine menu at the top and you click on Explore Samples, it's the third from the top. So
Oh wow.
you want to start by clicking the Install Samples button at the top, which is going to bring all of it in, okay? But this is the same list of samples that's on their public website. Every single sample that is public is also available to bring right into your project, along with all of the custom code that's attached to it and all of the built-in functionality. And
That's
there's
awesome.
so many good examples, Caius, that it would be very hard to find one that's like, oh my gosh, nobody's ever done this before. I have to start from scratch, right? So my advice would be, and actually I think JJ's already got 4 suggestions that he wants you to explore. I would just start with those. I would bring them in just like you've done any other Unity project. Start with the sample and see how they make it work. And if
Sounds
there's
good.
one that is a good baseline, use it as the baseline and build your custom project inside it, right?
Nice. This is awesome. This is super cool.
I think for what it is, it's really great. I don't know that it solves every problem in this space called WebXR, but it certainly has a lot of elegant solutions built into it and a pretty wide range of things that you can do with it.
Yeah.
Um, so this has been pretty productive, Caius. I think you're ready to go. And do you have any questions, before we break?
Um, I don't, not at the moment. It seems relatively straightforward. I'm sure as I really start getting into the TypeScript based things, my confusion will exceed my ambition.
Yeah.
Because right now it's more so I want to get in it and see how I can break it. That's how I like it, approaching new things in software is how can I break it? Because from there it gives me my boundaries that I get to work within.
Yeah. Well, don't forget to try to take advantage of the things that we all have now being shoved down our throats in some cases. But I gather that for JavaScript and TypeScript, AI is actually even a better collaborator than for things like C Sharp and
Yeah.
even PHP. And I think part of that is just maybe there's so much more front end code out there that they've been able to use to train these models. And I think, generating user interfaces is one of those things that engineers, there are engineers who are trained in the discipline of crafting user interfaces. They're front end,
Yeah.
right? But every back end developer dreams of creating applications too. And so, a lot of these vibe coding things, they have to be really good at solving the front end problem.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to lean on that too. But I wish you well. I hope you have a great day, and thanks for this session. And
Absolutely.
we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, Aaron.
Bye bye.
Bye.